All right, today I'm going to focus on printing the stamp for the t-shirts to stamp those t-shirts and hopefully start to finalize those. So I'm going to finish up the drawing and I'll show you how I'm going to send it off to Bambu Studios to be 3D printed. Coming at you with the finalization before we hit the 3D printer with the stamp. So what I had to do here, I'm just going to kind of run you through things because I've been plugging away. But what I had to do here is I opened up my high resolution vector image of my logo in Gimp. So, or Photoshop, whatever your editing tool is. I tried Inkscape, I couldn't quite figure it out. So I opened it up in Gimp. Seems to work pretty good. But what I had to do was then make this graphic black and white. Like this. Black and white. Okay? So, kind of just like with the screen printing, the black is going to be white, the white is going to be black when we 3D print it. So, with that said, I got it. So I went in here, pretty straightforward stuff. You can still see kind of some remnants of the pink in here, but I'm not going to worry about it because the 3D printer, I've tested it, the 3D printer doesn't pick it up. So what I did is I just paint bucketed and just dumped in the black. I got the border. For some reason the border wasn't showing up in Inkscape. Not sure why, but just got this puppy black and white. File, export as, and I did a PNG. So in GIMP, it doesn't allow me to export as SVG. So I just did a PNG file here. Okay, did the PNG file, pulled it up, and I converted it. So I converted it to an SVG file. So I use the same tool, the free convert. I use this one here, PNG to SVG, and disable my blocker. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with that, but I use the same tool, the free converter, and now check it out. This is what we're looking for. So we have our, if we look down here, we got our of, which I worked on. I found a kind of melty-free melting font, which I think looks pretty darn cool. So I'm going to do like 1 of 100. Okay? So before I do that, I'm going to import, choose my file, and we're going with I think it was this one here, I hope. Let me look at some details. I think it was details. It was the latest one I saved here. This one, black and white. Alright, so right now it's big. So we'll just make it like 300 length. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be still really big, but we can scale it. Scalable, the SVG file. Scalable graphic. So, wow-wee! But there it is! Alright? We'll make it white. Just so we can see it easy on that black background. Okay? It's huge. So what we'll do, we'll click on it. We're going to hold shift. We're going to scale that puppy way down. Oh, look at it flipped on us. We even got it flipped. That's what we want. And I kind of did some preliminaries here, and this main block that I'm going to hold with my hand. I mean, you can make this as fancy as you want. You could put even finger marks on it if you wanted to. This main, like finger grippers. So we'll click here, and we can see the block is 30. So calipers, precision measuring instrument here, calipers. So I just kind of looked at it. I used my calipers, and we're running in millimeters, and I just went, let's see here, 30. That's about how thick we're gonna our block will be. we'll test it out. It might be a little too small, might be perfect. So about 30 high. Right now it says 67 wide. We could probably just make it like an even 68, but that's about how wide it is. I kind of want it, I think I might want it a little wider, but I think I'm going to put them right. I talked to my sister, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, because she gave me a great idea to put these, like, put the stamp on the back of the neck. So if we use the front as an example, it'll be about, I think that's going to be good. I think that'll be a good size. So let's test it out. So now we got our block. This is the part that is going to take some trial and error, I think. This block, we have it set to 30, and I went ahead and I made all these stand up about an extra 5 millimeters. So if we look, 5 millimeters, that's about 5 millimeters. So that's about 5 millimeters. I want to make it so I can kind of run the ink over it, but we're not going to have like a lot of contact, like drips from, if we're close like this, we might get residual from the back of the block. So I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll test it out. This is the first run, and we'll test it out. So So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here with our logo, and we're going to raise this puppy up to off the bed. See here. Whoops. Wowee. This is the one right here, this little square. So there's little teeny tiny like cone, and the cone raises you up and down, and the square makes you wide. So now if we just go right here, because we're going to just put 35 in. Back it up. Go to your cone. You want to drop it down to 0. It's right flush with the bed. Okay? So now, I kind of think we might just want this centered. Instead of on that angle, I was going to put it on the back right of the shirt, but I think we're going to go ahead and we're just going to remove the angle here, and we're going to just center all this. So we'll go in here. I'm going to get rid of this ruler. So we're going to go in and rotate it back. Let's see if we can just rotate it back to where we once were. And it's taking me way back. So I do kind of like it on that angle like that, but I think that's not going to look right on the t-shirt if we do them right on the back of the neck. My sister was saying that, you know, if you have long hair, your hair will cover it. If you don't, might have to get that precision tool out, right? But I think there's still like a little angle going on there. See, it's just, there's a little angle going on with this one. So maybe I'm just losing it, but I want to make sure that little slight lean. I mean, it looks fresh and straight when, watch, boom, that looks great. So we're more concerned about, you know, we're going to eyeball it. We're going to just move it just a touch. I don't know. That looks pretty fresh and straight that way. I like it like that. That looks straight. It just, once you, watch this. Once you rotate it, your eyes, I don't know what kind of trick it does, but to me, it just looks like it's just a little cockeyed. And maybe it is, but it's not going to print that way. It's going to print this way. And that looks great to me. So we're going with it. All right, so we're going to take these and we're going to move this to the center, this to the center.
think it's going to look sick. Now watch. If we go, we can go underneath the table too. That's a good way. Oh, look at that. Good thing we did that. Because now we see that we're not quite, it was because I just did that move there. We're not quite on, and this is great too. This is how we can keep our logo right in the frame there. And we might just want to make our block a little bigger. Just finding that perfect balance. I think I like it. I think we're going with it. I think it looks sick. So, there we have it. Now, no matter what it looks like up here, there it is. This is our stamp. So no matter what it looks like up here, it doesn't matter, because once we stamp it, it's going to have that reverse image. So now we're all set. We got our stamp, and you know, we're, like I said, we're testing. This is 5 millimeters up. We might have to reduce it. We might have to print this on, instead of PLA, we might have to use a more rubbery material, but we're gonna make the best of it here. So what we want to do is we want to take all these loose images here, and we want to group them. We want to group it all together. Takes a second. When it's in red, it means it's kind of like thinking, doing its thing. It'll all turn to one solid color once it's fully grouped. I'm really excited you all are here with me for this adventure, this journey. So now I have my stamp. So let's go ahead and hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be dense enough, thick enough here for these letters to print on the 3D printer, because that's one problem you'll run into, is if these lines are too thin, then they won't print through the 3D printer. So let's try to export this as an STL file. Fingers crossed, this is the moment of truth. Bambu Studio opening up. Drum roll. We got it! So this is in Bambu Studio. This is that STL file brought in onto a plate, okay? So, what you see here is, you see is the plate. This is the plate that the 3D printer is going to print our model on. We're going to bring it over here. So what I'll tell you is that this little gray spot right here is where the camera is on the, this is where the camera is on the 3D printer. The camera's right here, okay? So what we need to do is we just need to tell the 3D printer how we want this thing printed, what kind of quality. So usually you can just go right down here, draft, strength, standard, which seems to be fine. I usually just stick with standard. I don't need anything, I don't think, high quality. 0.2 millimeters is how it's looking to print. So see, extra fine is 0.08, and it kind of works up through these settings. So I usually, like, Bambu Studios is so cool. I usually am pretty fine with a lot of the just kind of base settings. Right now it's printing white on this one, or whatever's in the one slot. So the 3D printer has 4 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4 filaments. We're going to change this filament to, where is it? Change filament. Right here, down here. Change filament. We're going to use the 4th slot because I know the 4th slot is black. So we're good to go. We're just going to run it. You know, we're just going to run it and see what happens. The camera will kind of point down in this angle, and we'll be able to view it while it's happening. So we got our model. It's laying on the plate. We slice it. We got to slice the plate. What slicing does, it's going to run through, and it's checking the geometry to make sure there's no overlaps, overhangs, and look at that. It's gonna, all these spots right here will be nice and solid. That's where our ink's gonna go. And one thing I'm thinking, it would be nice if this was laying flat on the plate, but I don't know if that's possible. So I might have to do a little bit of sanding to kind of get it like perfectly flat. we'll see, or the imperfections I think will look cool. I don't want this to look super perfect, but you know, I'd like it to look, you know, pretty cool. So look here. So it slices, and watch this. So if you, where are we at here? So yeah, so look. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want. So it's showing you the first layer. It's going to lay down this base, and that so everything will stick to the plate. The plate heats up, lays this base down, and the filament's gonna stick to it. That's what's gonna adhere our project, and then it's gonna start running. It knows, based off of the standard setting, that this doesn't need to be like a solid block. So it's gonna go through here, and it's going to just print these like wafers or whatever, this waffly type infill. It'll get up to about here. We're on 123 layers, so it's going to keep going. This is kind of a fat. I could probably have thinned this, but then you're going to start seeing your drawings start to come in. It's going to start doing your outlines. Grow, and filling it in, and boom. So fingers crossed, we'll see how it looks. You kind of never know until you actually print it. So we're going to give it a shot. So we got all of that. We've sliced our plate. This is kind of cool. It tells you how much filament it uses, how much it would cost worth of filament to make this block here, and how long it's going to take. It's going to take 6 minutes to prepare the machine and everything, and then it says it's going to take 49 minutes to print. So we'll go to the device, and if you take a look here, this is the device. This is the printer. I already have turned it on. And it's not the best video right here, but I'm going to time lapse it, which will be right here. You can time lapse, and you can save a time lapse video of this, and it's still not going to look awesome, but it'll give you kind of a general idea of what's happening. So when we click print, that's where we'll have that option. I've already cleaned off my plate with, I used some isopropyl alcohol. I cleaned it off really good so we have good adhesion. I like to do a bed leveling just because I haven't printed on it for a little bit. And we're going to also hit a time-lapse video. So it's going to save a time-lapse video into a special folder, and then I can add that to this video right after we hit print. And we can go ahead and cut to that. So we have a bed leveling, time lapse. One last thing, we want to make sure we point our filament at this fourth filament, and we're going to send it. Send it. Here it goes. So it sends this job over the cloud services. It kind of sends it through the cloud, and it brings it back in, and you'll see the machine will start kicking off here too. So downloading down here, you can see that it's downloading. It'll show you like a little graphic of your 3D, and you can see right here your plate's starting to heat up. This plate will heat up to 55 degrees Celsius. Your extruder will heat up. Loading. Oh, check again. What's happening? What? Please check the network and try again. Oh, here goes loading. Hey, there we go. And look at, here's the bed raising up. And all this is going to be on that time-lapse video. It's going to record all that. So I'm going to just leave this on for just a second more, but we're going to go ahead, and now that the model, we'll get that first little layer. Let's see how it looks on the screen. This is the most important layer in 3D printing. It's that adhesion layer that needs to be laid down to a nice clean bed. I always wipe down the bed with alcohol, sometimes even using dish soap and getting it really clean with dish soap, and then run a couple coats of alcohol over it because you really want that layer to stick. It looks like it's going down really nice from the looks of it here. So we're going to go ahead and let the time lapse show the rest.
All right, so there you have it. A few days in the works now, but we have our official limited edition Dom Dom stamp. So I'll be able to run a roller over with the white plastisol and stamp these on the back of the screen printed shirts necklines. Thanks, Elizabeth, my sister, for giving me that idea. I think that's going to be a great spot. It won't take away from the art on the front of the shirt, but it'll add a nice little touch, a little personal touch to the back of the shirt. And I just think it turned out great. So we converted the image to an SVG. We brought it in to TinkerCAD. We, modeled it. We grouped the model together, and we eventually 3D printed this. So now we have a working, functional product that will help out in the future. This stamp, I'd be able to put this stamp on anything, canvas bags, shirts, and I just am really happy with the way that it turned out. I can't wait to start squishing it on some apparel and on some fabrics. So awesome. So really excited about that, and stay tuned for the next one where we put it to use. And still coming will be that big reveal where I have the Screen Tech trip and the actual screen printing video. So that's still to come. So if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe in the bottom. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you don't like, what I can improve on. And thanks so much for stopping by and following along on this little adventure. So thanks again.